Video games are a form of modern art. Art is commonly defined as the expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in a visual form, and producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. Video games are made by teams of designers, often led by a game director. And video games are a modern form of art because of the ways that players interact with them and experience the stories that they tell, and the emotional responses that are elicited from that experience. There have been some notable critics, such as Roger Ebert, who have declared that video games can never be considered art because of the way that players interact with them. But I posit that there are several standout examples of video games that are, in fact, works of art. And it's the very way that players interact with these experiences and are made to feel by these games that firmly establishes them as modern day art. One such video game that has been widely recognized as a work of art is a game called Flower. Now, in Flower, players assume the role of a gust of wind that flows from one flower to another, picking up various colored petals along the way along a long flowing current of wind. Now, by doing so, color and life is restored to varying locations of grass and trees that have fallen lifeless and dark in color. In order to directly control the wind, players simply press and hold any button on the controller and tilt the controller in the direction that they want the wind to flow. Now, the ease of being able to control the game and the fact that there's no fail state, there's no game over screen to the gameplay itself, means that there's very little barrier to entry and playability wise. Uh, People of all ages and capability can play Flower. Taking direct control and action in order to restore vibrant color and life to the digital landscapes of hills, valleys, and fields, thereby delights players of all ages and fills them with a childlike glee. Now, the music is a composition of piano and string ensembles that react to the pace and flow of the action on screen, and it lends the game to be very relaxing. Another game that I wanted to point out is a game called Shadow of the Colossus. And in that, players assume the role of lone warrior on horseback who has traveled to an ancient and forbidden land in order to beseech an ominous presence to restore life to a mysterious woman. The environments in the game range from jungles to lakes to deserts and ancient ruins. And other than the Wanderer and their horse, there is very little wildlife in the Forbidden Lands, save for like birds and geckos. Mm, The ominous presence tasks the Wanderer to travel the land and seek out combat with 16 massive colossi in order to restore life to the woman. Um, when you do encounter these colossi, they act and serve as giant climbable puzzles, which you have to navigate and manage your character's stamina, or else he loses his grip and he falls off. As you try, scale up their massive bodies, the orchestra music swells and builds and creates this emotional elation. Finding the key points on the colossi to shut down, thus toppling it and defeating it, changes the punctuates the music with a somber, almost reverent choir melody that leaves the player feeling a sense of loss and a pang of regret for dealing each final blow. It's an emotional ride the entire way through. Now, another game is The Last of Us, and it features expertly acted character performances via motion capture, whereas a typical game would require digital artists to perform each character's movements and environmental interactions. Game director Neil Druckmann had the voice actors come in and wear motion capture gear in order to make the characters seem true to life in every way possible. This was of great importance in conveying the emotional weight of people trying to survive in a post-pandemic world, the featured storyline. Players navigate the environments of this fallen world as Joel, a reluctant adoptive father figure, to Ellie, a young girl who may hold the cure for the virus that has brought about the end of modern civilization. Along the way, the players are confronted with themes of extreme personal loss, desperate choices that are made in order to survive above all others, and the restoration of hope in mankind through the simplest of kindness. And all of this becomes very emotionally relevant and moving as you can now explore the game to its stunning conclusion. These games all serve as exemplary reasons that a video game should be considered modern day art in a variety of ways, from how they're received by their audience to visually to the emotions that they evoke in each and every one of their players. All of the thought provoking imagery that these games convey and the emotions that their audiences are moved to feel speak volumes to support that they are in fact masterpieces of art in our modern era.